rambunctious little bambinos. JD here, teeing it up, seeing how long and straight we can hit it on the program where intellectual anarchy is encouraged and nurtured. For now, your aggregator-in-chief, scouring the world for the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Marcelo working the dials. Good to have you back, Marcelo. Brad producing the program. Emails at the website, jerrydoyle.com. And the poll question is up there for you today. The Socialist-In-Chief, for those of you who don't know who that is, that would be Obama, sees an America where prosperity is shared. The makers make, and the takers take, and their take is never enough. So the question is this causing you to grow a compassion callus? Yes or no? 80% say, yeah. 20% say no. You can answer it there at the website or here at 800-876-4123. On the program where we like our flying a little turbulent, our women a little crazy, and our politics a little messy. I listened to this socialist president, and I even noticed that the people who were avoiding calling him a socialist are now not really putting up the shield as vociferously against the moniker of this president being a socialist president. But the whole notion of shared prosperity, let's talk about that for a second, shall we? We already have shared prosperity in this country. It's called taxes. The makers make and pay taxes. The takers take and pay no taxes. What we really have is shared dependency. We have a form of capitalism or crapitalism on the way up and socialism on the way down. Those who don't make, take. They share in my hard work, in my efforts. They take from me, and what do I get in return? Nothing but bitching and moaning and complaining that it's never enough. Never enough. Now, I know that might sound callous to some, not O-U-S, but C-A-L-L-U-S. But my compassion callus is getting thicker with less nerve endings each and every time I listen to this socialist president speak. And in a certain way, this president is doing the people who truly need some help, transitionary help, whatever type of help is needed as they go through rough spots in their lives, or people who have just been dealt a really lousy hand that do need the help of people who are in a position and fortunate enough to be a maker. But there's so many mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging, Neanderthal bottom feeders out there, I am just way over them. What about me? What about me? Poor me. Oh, poor me. Yeah, pour me another, okay? I mean, to all the makers out there, look around. Look around. What do the makers see right now? They see people in other offices. They see people in other cubicles. They see people on the roads that are driving to their appointments, to their next meeting. They see people commuting. They see people eating their lunches at their desk if they even have time to eat lunch. They see people going to the airport because they have to get on a plane because they need to go to a business meeting so that they can close a deal, so they can help the company and bring some profits to the bottom line. They see people checking in and out of hotels. Now, look at those commercials. What are the ones where, they walk through the hotel and they're all going, you do it, you man on the go. And the guy slides the keys down the counter. He's like, bam, got him, man. I'm going to go knock this out of the park. Those are the makers. That's what makers see when they look around. You see worker bees. You see people that do it each and every day. The backbone of the country. And what do the takers see? What do they see when they look around? A bunch of people sitting at sidewalk cafes at 2 in the afternoon bitching about the system. A bunch of people sitting around at Obama rallies going, yeah, the system's rigged, man. It's working against me, and it's the man that's keeping me down. It's because of those evil, greedy bastards. What do they see? They see maybe other people that are running to the mailbox on the first of the month. Maybe the ones on their block. It's a much different vision between the makers and the takers. But this socialist president is doing people who truly need our help a total disservice. And to the people who become permanently addicted to government crack, generational dependency on bigger and supposedly better, more intrusive government, All they're doing them is locking into a vicious cycle of hopelessness and helplessness and addiction to government crack. But this is nothing new for socialists. This is nothing new for Democrats. This is exactly what they did after the Depression. Instead of saying, how do we make sure that that doesn't happen again? And how do we make sure that people in a certain way are able to insulate themselves from what happened during the Great Depression? They see that as an opportunity to give us the worst social program of all time, Social Security. The worst government program of all time, Social Security. You want to talk about dependency on government? Now, what are they doing in the aftermath of this financial crisis? Are they saying, how do we look at this? How do we address this? How should we make sure we can avoid this? What do we do to ensure that this doesn't happen again? How do we let people know that, well, diversification is key? How you spread out your assets, how you plan for your future, how you save your money, what you do with your money, how money works for you instead of you working for money, because money can work for you 24 hours a day. You can't work for money 24 hours a day. You're not a Navy SEAL. No, that's not what they do. Now, in the aftermath of the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression, the Democrats are saying we have to get more people addicted to government crack, and the people who are already addicted have to get addicted to even more potent government crack. The ever-expanding bubble of government dependency. Compassion callus. It's not that I don't have compassion. I do. I understand there are people out there that truly need our help. And there are people out there that caught a bad break. But how are we going to end this cycle of dependency and addiction to government crack if the Democrats' solution is constantly to pander to the takers at the expense of the makers? You would have to think that the Democrats, they're all about fairness and all the emotional attachments that they have to things, that they would be emotionally attached to an individual and look at that pathetic relationship and dependency that they have on the government and say, how do we end that? But they can't do that. Because if that ends, what goes away? A huge percentage of their voting bloc. People who will not vote to take a dime's worth of cuts to anything that they're getting from the makers. And there's a reason for that. Not just selfishness, not just entitlement, but it's because they don't know a way out. No one taught them. No one showed them. They tell them, but no one really said, you know what? You can do better than this. You can do better in America if you're willing to take a look at what the makers are doing, instead of sitting around with fellow takers and bitching about what you don't have. Get up off the couch. Do something. Read. Go outside. Walk around. Get around people who are doing stuff. Attitude, control, and altitude. I saw it in Hollywood all the time. People who didn't work sat around with people who didn't work. And what'd they complain about? Not working. But who was the problem? It was the people who were working that were keeping them from working. The smart, out-of-work actors, writers, directors, producers, they made sure that they stayed around people who were active, who were working, who were plugged in, who were in the system. Yeah, sure, maybe part of the mentality was maybe a few of the breadcrumbs will fall off the table and I won't starve. And maybe someone will take pity on me and hire me, but that's not what it's all about. It's about being around people that are doing, that are active, that are plugged in, that are engaged, that understand that you've got to do something for yourself. You cannot expect the government to continue to be compassionate, because what happens to the makers is the compassion callus starts to grow. And then they start to become those people. And we become these people. And that ain't working for us, folks. But in the whole class warfare, divide and conquer mentality that this president is all about in his hopes to get elected, reelected in November, that's the game. The other night, Obama had a big fundraiser, $51 to get in. And they said the room was half empty. Of course it is. The Obama supporters and voters, they're not used to writing checks. They're used to getting checks. And now you're asking them to flip that paradigm around to where you have to actually pay to get something? They're so used to getting something for nothing and always getting more because of promises being made by politicians that are pandering to them in an effort to buy their votes. That's what the Democrats are all about. That's what the Democrat Party is all about. Instead of helping people to get up and to do it themselves. And at least try. But not in Obama world. In Obama world, why would you want to? You might fail. We want that to happen. And back to the point of Social Security being the worst government program of all time. I'll use the numbers. Numbers don't lie. Politicians lie about the numbers. 46% of senior citizens in the United States have less than $10,000 when they die. They rely almost totally on Social Security payments as their only formal means of support. Think about that number. Half of the senior citizens have less than $10,000 after they ran the hamster wheel for their entire lives. Do you think it's possible that if Social Security wasn't there as the supposed safety net that would ensure the financial dignity of your retirement, that maybe people would have started putting away 10, 20, 50, 100, 200 bucks a month when they were 20, 21, 22, 25 years old, knowing that they were responsible for their own financial future? Maybe it would have caused them to have a little bit more of an investment in their own life and the outcome of that life. But when the government is the one that dictates to you what that will be, you have to take exactly what it is. And guess what the complaints are about Social Security? It's not enough.
The Jerry Doyle Show.
Takers throughout their lives that maybe did some making along the way, but then take way more than they put in and complain that it's not enough. Then they turn around and say, well, the makers have to give more and the takers have to get more. That's the way the system's designed. No, it's not. At least not in my world, but in Obama land, in Obama world, in the Democrat world, that seems to be the world that most benefits them politically. Think about it when you're looking around. Do you see makers or do you see takers? And if there's makers at the bar, pour me another. Stick with me.
Do we go forward towards a new vision of an America in which prosperity is shared, or do we go backward to the same policies that got us into this mess in the first place?
Doyle Show.